These two women are driving in total silence. They have something in their car that would change everything if the police pulled them over. In the passenger seat, those bruises on her face aren't from an accident, they are a message. And the woman driving? She's not just driving, she's escaping a life that most people wouldn't survive for a single day. You will never guess what they just did to earn this freedom. You don't know the years of pain that led to this road or the monster they left behind. Her name is Eun-su, and her husband beats her to the sound of loud music. He turns it up before he starts, so the neighbors can't hear. When it's over, he showers her with gifts and holds her and sleeps beside her like a man who has done absolutely nothing wrong. He's got OCD, and the apartment runs entirely on his rules. Eun-su follows a daily schedule she can't deviate from. She can't be late, can't be messy, can't even accidentally hurt herself without answering for it. He's put cameras inside their home. He reads through her phone. He tracks her location at all times. He even caused her to miscarry through his violence. Then he blamed her for losing the baby. She used to be an illustrator of children's books. She had a book launch once, an invitation to a fair in Italy, a career that was genuinely hers. He beat her for accepting the Italy trip and she canceled it. And over the years, she quietly stopped being that person altogether. The only corner of her life he hadn't consumed was the storage room where she kept her old supplies. She'd go in there in the early hours and just sit, existing briefly somewhere outside the world he controlled. She tried to report him once. She made it to the station, filled out the paperwork, got almost to the end of the form. And unfortunately, his sister walked through the door. Jin Young is a police officer, ambitious and disciplined and completely controlled, and she pulled Eun-su into a quiet corner and explained that domestic cases rarely go anywhere. She said it's quite easy to flip the narrative and make a husband look like the victim instead. So Eun-su went home and tore up the report. His mother, Jung-suk, is a celebrated domestic abuse survivor. She stands on stages and describes what her late husband did to her, the control, the violence, the daily weight of it, and every behavior she names matches her son, detail for detail. Jung-suk has always known what Jin-pyo was. She sat across from Eun-su at family dinners, saw the bruises, and called them accidents. She chose her silence year after year, and Eun-su had nowhere left to turn. So, on the day she stood her best friend up for lunch, she was already at the mall. She'd walked through the entrance, she'd seen the table, she had seen the woman sitting there saving her a seat. She turned around and left because she wasn't going to lunch. She was going to the airport with a bag packed and a ticket to the United States, running toward the only exit she'd left. Her husband found out before she reached the gate. He didn't follow her. He called her sick mother's care facility and explained, very quietly, what would happen if his wife boarded that flight. Eun-su stood at the departure gate and listened to her last exit close around her. Following that, she went home. And in punishment for trying, Jin-pyo killed her cat. At this point, what would you do? Stay and endure it, or burn your whole life down trying to get out? Her name is Eun-su. She runs the VIP floor of a high-end jewelry mall, and she's the kind of person who, when a business guest walks out of a meeting with a diamond watch that belongs to her chairman, doesn't call security. She follows him all day, through the market, to his warehouse, through every excuse he throws at her until he returns the watch that night. She notices a scratch on the strap and talks him into buying a replacement. By the end of the evening, they're playing mahjong and he tries to hire her. She turns him down without hesitating. But something else happens that same day. Something she won't be able to put down. A VIP customer named Mrs. Kang finds her in the back room. She's trembling. There are bruises she's tried to cover and hasn't quite managed. She grabs Eun-su's arm and asks for help, and before Eun-su can do thing, the husband appears in the doorway. He smiles, apologizes for the inconvenience, takes his wife by the arm, and walks her out. To reward Eun-su for her discretion, he buys 500 gifts under her name to pad her commission numbers. Eun-su watches them leave. She says nothing. She goes to jiu-jitsu that evening and pushes until her body gives out. Her trainer drags her off the mat and bans her temporarily. This is what Eun-su does with things she can't fix. She turns them inward and drives them through her own body until something breaks. She grew up in a house where her father's moods changed without warning. She and her younger brother Eun-hyuk learned early on how to disappear. They hid in the closet and waited. When the closet wasn't far enough, she took him to the park. Their mother tried to jump from a window once, and Eun-su caught her in time, but the image never left. She'd nightmares for years about open windows, about standing near any kind of edge. Her classmates found it funny. Eun-su was the only one who sat beside her and didn't say anything cruel. There's a scar on Eun-su's arm from the day she saved Eun-su's life. At her own wedding, she wore it completely exposed, like something to be proud of. She never once made Eun-su feel like a burden for it. Eun-su's carried that for years, the specific weight of knowing someone chose to be marked by saving you. Then comes the night Eun-su drinks too much and So-baek has to come collect her. She leaves embarrassed, steps out into the street, and stops cold. Because standing right there is a man she's never met, but whose face she absolutely recognizes. He looks exactly like Huisu's husband. Same height, same jaw, same build. He walks past without a second look. She files it away. Then the news comes on. Mrs. Kang jumped in front of her husband's car. The CCTV shows her in the same outfit she was wearing the day she grabbed Eun-su's arm in the back room and asked for help. The same day, Eun-su watched her walk out and didn't say a word. Eun-su calls her mother. Safe. She calls Huisu. No answer. She runs. Mrs. Kang asked for help. Eun-su saw the bruises. She watched her walk out with that man and she just went back to work. And now Mrs. Kang is dead. At this point, if you were Eun-su, what would you have done differently? She finds Huisu on the edge, and Huisu don't want to be pulled back. She says she wants to die on her own terms. Not slowly, not at the end of his hands, not by accident one night when he goes too far. On her own terms, while she still has some control over something. Eun-su grabs her anyway. Huisu hears Jinpyo pulling up outside and begs Eun-su to hide. So Eun-su hides in the closet, her childhood hiding place, and she listens to what happens on the other side of the wall when he finds his wife. She can't see it, she can only hear it. And there is a point in that listening where something in her goes completely, permanently still. Eun-su slips out before Jinpyo finds her, and that same night, Huisu hangs herself inside the apartment. Jinpyo finds her. He cuts her down. He doesn't call an ambulance. He beats her for trying to die without his permission, because even her death is something he intends to control. But Huisu's found the one thing he can't take from her. He can't let her die, which means she's got exactly one piece of leverage. She demands he destroy the CCTV camera. He smashes it. She is still inside these walls. He is still breathing. The only exit that leads anywhere is through him. When Huisu agrees to the plan, it isn't rage driving her. It's the quiet, exhausted conclusion that every other option's been used up. Eun-su says it simply and without drama. Let's kill Jinpyo. She tried the law. She tried escaping. She tried dying. Every single door was closed from the outside, and this is where everything changes. Because what these two women are about to plan will cost them everything. But if you were standing exactly where Huisu is right now, having tried everything she tried and been failed by everyone she turned to, would you still follow the law? Eun-su does not move without a plan. She picks Sobek's brain over dinner, carefully steering the conversation. He explains casually how someone might make a person disappear. The key is no body. No confirmed death means no murder case, no prosecution, nothing to build on. She listens to every word and files it away next to the face she saw on the street. His name is Jong Kong. He's an illegal immigrant from China with a wife and a child back home and no legal way out of Korea. Eun-su offers him something simple. Fly to Shanghai on Jinpyo's passport, drop it when he lands, go home to his family with money in his pocket. He agrees immediately. The plan takes shape. Kill Jinpyo on the night of his company dinner, when he comes home drunk and his guard is down. The next morning, Jong Kong flies out as Jinpyo, and from that point forward, every trail points to Jinpyo being alive in Shanghai. No body, no case, no way to prove anything happened at all. But before the plan can move, Jinpyo makes his own. He discovered through his building's CCTV that Eun-su was hiding in Huisu's closet. So, he arranges a dinner, calm and civilized on the surface, and underneath it makes the threat completely clear. Help him win back a major client named Mrs. Kim, or face what comes next for both of them. Eun-su agrees, goes to Kim, and uses every skill she has to maneuver her into signing a deal with Jinpyo. She does what he demands to protect Huisu, while planning his death at the same time. He checks Huisu's phone location, deep in the woods, nowhere near home. Then a promotional notification arrives from the airline tied to his fake Shanghai booking, a text that should never exist. His expression changes completely. He gets up and drives home fast. He finds them and figures it out in seconds. He goes straight for Eun-su with both hands around her throat, and she cannot break free. Huisu grabs the nearest thing she can reach, a snow globe sitting on the shelf, and swings it into his head. He drops. He does not get up. Huisu stares at what she has done and her mind starts to fracture. Every surface looks soaked in blood to her, even the clean ones. She scrubs at walls that are completely untouched and she cannot stop. Eun-su takes over, cleaning, calling Jong Kong, confirming every step, holding the plan together while Huisu comes apart beside her. The downstairs neighbor comes up to check on Huisu and sees the blood on her dress and the stain on Eun-su's feet. She looks at Huisu's face. She has been watching these bruises cycle through and heal and come back for months. The next morning, Jong Kong arrives and changes into the suit and clips on Jinpyo's watch. He has no idea what is inside the suitcase Eun-su asks him to carry to the car. He clears airport security without a problem and lands in Shanghai. Huisu exhales for the first time in what feels like years. The drive to bury Jinpyo starts going wrong almost immediately. Huisu cannot stop scrubbing imaginary blood from her hands, and when Eun-su reaches over to stop her, the car drifts and they hit a deer. The impact goes through Huisu like electricity. She sees Jinpyo's face in the headlights and sits with it in silence until they drive on. They bury him. They throw the snow globe into the sea. They visit Huisu's mother. Then they drive to a seaside town, and Huisu orders every food Jinpyo never allowed her to eat, and she eats until she gets sick. Eun-su buys firecrackers to lighten the mood. For one night, just one, things feel almost bearable. Finally, they sleep in the car. The next morning, a couple out on a picnic wanders off the path and steps directly onto Jinpyo's grave. The dirt is wrong under their feet. There is blood on the nearby leaves. They do not dig. They walk away, but the grave is not as hidden as the women think. On the drive back to Seoul, they hit a police checkpoint. A traffic officer approaches, sees the deer blood on the headlights, sees the bruises still healing on both their faces, and asks them to open the trunk. The shovels are there, just under a sheet. He gets called away to another vehicle at the last possible second. They drive home. Jinpyo's disappearance sets off exactly the scrutiny the women feared. Jung-suk corners Huisu and demands to know why she seems fine, why she is not desperate and falling apart. Jin-young traces Jong-kang's movements and decides Jinpyo has a secret family in Shanghai. The company quietly buries an embezzlement report after discovering Huisu moved client money into Jinpyo's personal account, the same money Jong-kang withdrew before his flight. No charges are filed. Every threat gets quietly absorbed, and against all odds, life starts to move again. Eun-su goes home and gives her father one final warning. Touch her mother again and the family is finished. Then she tears out the old closet she and Eun-hyuk used to hide in as children. Her mother and brother watch it go and both feel something lift. Eun-hyuk decides to move in to protect their mother. Eun-su takes her mother out for the first time in years. Gifts and a proper restaurant and a few hours of just existing somewhere safe together. Huisu starts working at So Baek's warehouse. She buys a dress Jinpyo would never have allowed. She eats when she is hungry and starts wearing her own face again. Jung-suk is not satisfied. She bribes the building security guard to keep notes on Huisu. When she smiles, when she leaves, when she wears makeup, he starts filling a notebook with exactly the kind of entries that make an innocent grieving woman look guilty. Then Kwon comes back into Eun-su's life. A reporter has opened a formal investigation into Mrs. Kang's death, and the police want Eun-su's statement. Her manager tells her to stay quiet and protect them all. She almost does. Then Kwon arrives and holds out an envelope to reward her silence, the way you tip someone for a service, and something in Eun-su hardens completely. She tells him what she's going to do with her statement. He follows her into a restaurant bathroom when she refuses to back down and gets physical. That's when Sobek walks through the door. Later, the three of them are at the warehouse and Huisu is crying because she was so buried in her own survival that she never saw Eun-su struggling too. Sobek teaches them mahjong, his coping mechanism for when everything else fails. For a while, the mood actually lifts. Then Eun-su reaches for his broken calendar and he stops her. That date is his son's death anniversary. He tells them he once killed the man responsible, and he still wakes up carrying the weight of it. Revenge doesn't close the wound, he says. It just changes its shape. Sobaek and Huisu sit in the particular silence of two people who've both lost a child. Neither of them tries to fill it. The bruises finish healing, life settles. And then, someone walks into Huisu's apartment. They thought the worst was behind them. They thought they had gotten away with it. And this is where everything changes. Because what just walked through that door is worse than everything that came before. He didn't go home. Jong-kang stands in Huisu's doorway, holding Jinpyo's phone like a winning hand, because it is. He recovered all the deleted data, the CCTV footage from inside the apartment the night Jinpyo died, and Huisu's GPS location in the woods on the day they dug the grave. He wants 3 billion won in 5 days. He finds the whole situation genuinely amusing. Huisu tries to raise it alone. She pawns every piece of jewelry she owns, lists her apartment and her mother's house for sale at a loss, breaks into Jinpyo's safe. The total does not come close. While she is scrambling, the building's security guard, Jung-suk's informant, the one filling the notebook, spots Jong-kang coming and going. Jong-kang kills him. Jin-young arrives to investigate and immediately starts cleaning. She deletes the parking lot footage showing Jong-kang. She tears the relevant pages from the guard's notebook. She isn't doing this for Huisu. She's days away from joining the president's security detail, the appointment her entire career's been building toward, and she won't let a thing destroy it. Jang-kang, bored and emboldened, starts texting Jung-suk pretending to be her son. He say he's on the run, needs money, can't explain. Jung-suk, desperate to believe her child is alive, sends it. He drinks it away at Sobaek's warehouse and starts talking loudly about the 3 billion he's got coming from 2 women. Sobek hears every word. He tracks Jong Kang down through the fixers Eun-su hired, finds Jinpyo's phone on him, and the full picture finally comes together. The guilt hits him hard. He was the one who said it on a night when Eun-su was falling apart. That women in those situations should just kill their abusive husbands instead. He meant it as frustration. She'd been listening like it was a blueprint. Jin Young is too precise to miss what is wrong with those texts. The language is informal, the typos are careless, nothing like how her brother actually writes. She's always texted formally, even with her own family. She figures it out on a highway, at the exact moment Jang Kang steps out of the dark and stands directly in front of her headlights. He'd just crashed Eun-su's car and knocked her unconscious when she tried to stop him from leaving. Jin Young doesn't hesitate. She takes him down, cuffs him, locks him in the storage room at her mother's house. She erases everything on Jinpyo's phone and throws it in the river. Then she begins building a case, not against Jong Kang, but against Eun-su. She goes to her colleague Officer Gyeong-gu and tells him Eun-su is unstable, paranoid, possibly responsible for the security guard's death. She lines up character witnesses who will testify that Jinpyo was a devoted husband. She's preparing to frame a woman for the murder of the man who was quietly killing her for years, and she's doing it methodically, the way she does everything. Eun-su meets Jung-suk for lunch and accidentally hits her head sitting down. Jung-suk's face changes. She looks almost relieved because she thinks Jinpyo is back and hurting his wife again, and things are returning to what she knows as normal. Eun-su sits across from a woman who built her public identity around surviving abuse, someone who watched her son do to another person everything that was done to her and chose her silence every single time. The betrayal sits in Eun-su's chest like a stone. Sobek puts together a careful plan. Move both Jong Kang and Jinpyo's body to China, put everything beyond South Korean jurisdiction, end the threat completely. Eun-su listens to the whole plan and agrees. Then she immediately goes and breaks into Jin Young's car and takes Jong herself, before a single piece of the plan is in place. She couldn't wait. Sobek leaves one of his workers to guard Jang while things are reorganized. Jong works on the man for hours, escapes, and kills him on the way out. He calls Jin Young and offers to take her to Jinpyo's body in exchange for 2 billion won. They drive to the woods. He digs. He finds the deer carcass Eun-su and Eun-su buried over the grave the night they hid it on the road back. Jin Young stares into the empty hole and then knocks him out. She still doesn't have the body, but she has everything else she needs. Officer Gyeong-gu is a decent man whose instincts will not leave him alone. He was at the station the day Eun-su tried to report her husband. He tracks down her doctor, who confirms the abuse, then goes to her apartment and returns the original report with an apology. She takes it, thanks him quietly, and shreds it in front of him along with the doctor's file. She's finished waiting for the system to move fast enough to help anyone. That night, Jin Young calls Eun-su. She tells her she has the body, that Eun-su left Jong Kang for dead, that Eun-su is going to prison for all of it, unless Eun-su removes herself from the equation. She says it the way someone says something practical and obvious, like it's the kind thing, the choice that protects everyone who matters. Eun-su agrees to go to Sobayek's place. She packs slowly, moving through the apartment saying quiet things to Eun-su that sound like gratitude but carry the weight of goodbye. When Eun-su is distracted for a moment, she slips out the door. She drives to her mother's nursing home and parks outside. She starts the engine. She doesn't open the windows. Jin Young is standing in the dark beyond the glass, holding the suicide note she already wrote for Eun-su, watching the car fill. Eun-su survived beatings and isolation and surveillance and a miscarriage and years of having every minute of her life controlled by one man. What finally put her in that car with the engine running was not him. It was the fear of what staying alive would cost the people she loved. He'd been dead for weeks, and he was still doing this to her. Sobek and Eun-su find her in time. They get her out of the car. She recovers, and when she comes back to herself, she feels guilty for surviving, which tells you more about what those years in that apartment did to her than any bruise ever could. Eun-su sits with her and doesn't try to fix it with words. She just stays. While Eun-su recovers, Eun-su goes after Jin Young directly. She pushes until Jin Young makes the mistake of arresting her on fabricated charges in public, with witnesses present. One of those witnesses is an assemblywoman, one of Eun-su's longtime VIP customers from the mall. She takes Jinpyo's embezzlement straight to the commissioner. The commissioner turns to Jin Young and asks for an explanation she cannot give. Meanwhile, Jung-suk is sheltering in Jin Young's apartment. She finds the storage room, then finds Jong Kang cuffed to a pipe inside it. She sits down and demands to know what happened to her son. He laughs at her. He tells her with genuine amusement what a spectacular wreck her entire family is. He's still laughing when she picks up something heavy and beats him to death with it, right there in that room while he is cuffed and cannot go anywhere. She calls Jin Young. Together they drag the body to the car. Mr. Ma, Sobek's fixer, has been watching Jin Young since the false arrest. Eun-su joins him on the highway. They ram Jin Young's car from behind, and the trunk flies open, and Jong Kong's body rolls out onto the road in front of every passing driver. Phones come out immediately. Everything is filmed before either woman can move. Jin Young and Jung Suk are arrested on the highway, surrounded by headlights and cameras, with nowhere left to go. Hui-su doesn't know any of this is happening. All she knows is that Eun-su went after Jin Young, and she can't watch the person who once saved her life walk into danger one more time on her behalf. She goes to Officer Gyung-gu and sits down and tells him everything. She killed Jin Pyo. Jin Young has been targeting them because of it. She needs him to stop Jin Young before Eun-su gets hurt. She says it plainly, the way you speak when you have already made your peace with what comes next. The trial is joint. So-baek hires the best law firm in Seoul and sits in the gallery for every single hearing. Mrs. Jo cries through every session. Mr. Jo does not show up once, not for a single day. On sentencing day, Hui-su stands and takes full responsibility for premeditated murder. She says it without flinching. Then Eun-su stands and tells the court she deserves to be punished too, not only for what happened to Jin Pyo, but for every moment before it. For Mrs. Kong walking out of that mall while she stood there with her hands at her sides and said nothing. For every time she watched a door close on someone in pain and turned back to her work. It is never too late, she tells the court, to fix things. In the gallery, Mrs. Jo hears her daughter say that. She's been sitting in that seat every day of this trial, listening, and she has heard things she needed to hear for 30 years. She finds the courage she has been looking for her entire adult life. She leaves her husband. She comes to the prison and tells Eun-su something she has never said out loud. Years ago, at the worst of it, she placed Eun-su in temporary foster care. Not to abandon her, but to finally get her affairs in order and leave Mr. Jo for good. But Eun-su was a child who wanted a family more than she wanted safety. She begged her mother to come back. Mrs. Jo came back and stayed, for her daughter, and that one choice shaped the next 20 years for both of them. They sit across from each other and they apologize, for the same love that kept the wrong things alive long after they should have ended. For the first time in years, Hui-su does not have to watch the door. There is no schedule to keep, no music turning up in the next room, no one about to walk through and decide how her day will go. She sits in the quiet and she does not brace herself against it. She is in a prison cell, and it is the most peace she has felt in a decade. Some people spend their whole lives waiting for a room that feels safe. She finally found one. Eun-su is released first, and she waits. When Hui-su walks through the gate, Eun-su is there and So-baek is beside her. The three of them go to Hui-su's mother's grave and stand there for a while. Then they leave Korea. They end up in Vietnam, working So-baek's market during the day and sitting somewhere warm in the evenings eating whatever they want. Hui-su starts painting again. Not the dark and violent work she made in that storage room at 3 in the morning, but something with color in it, something that looks like it expects a future. Eun-su takes up surfing. She falls, the ocean knocks her down, she paddles back out. She falls again. She laughs and gets back on the board every time. In the end, this story was never really about a murder. It was about survival and the cost of loyalty. After everything they went through to get here, that feels like the only ending that makes sense. This was As You Stood By. Subscribe for more drama recaps and tell me what I should break down next.